Hey everyone, I'm Leanne. If you don't know me, and if you do know me and you're back, thank you so much for being here. Today we are doing another advice video. It is a LeighAnnSays video, but it's all focused on you guys. I used to do these videos that were like Q&A style and they're all about me, but like there's only so much I can say about myself. And I like talking to you guys. I love doing these kinds of videos. If you've never seen them before, I've done several of them. I will link the playlist down below if you want to watch. And basically how it works is I put out a message on my Instagram story saying, I am ready for your emails. I have an email address specifically for this purpose. I got a ton of emails in, so many good questions, stories, situations about everything. Family relationships, romantic relationships, boyfriends, husbands, career stuff, some fertility stuff, just anything and everything. And I am so thankful that you guys trust me to write in and trust me to share your stories here. I value it so much and I take these videos so seriously, maybe even too seriously. I pour over the emails. I got so many and there are so many that I want to talk about in this video right now. We're probably not going to get to all of them that I selected, but I'm going to try my best. And just before we get started, I do feel like it's important for me to say at the beginning of all of these videos, my advice is not the end all be all. You know, I'm not an expert. This is friend to friend advice. I care about you guys. I want to see you happy. I want to see you successful, feeling good about your lives and these situations. But you know, I'm not an expert, and there will most likely be a moment in this video where you don't agree with me, and that is totally okay with me. And if you don't agree with me, share your opinion, your perspective in the comments, because most likely the people that wrote in will be watching this video and hopefully scrolling through the comments, and they might really get something great from your perspective. I firmly believe friends can disagree with friends, you know, that's totally okay. And I love reading the comments for these videos. You know, when you guys don't agree with me and when you have a different side, you know, everybody's lived different lives. Your take is just as valuable as mine. And I really, really love when you guys start conversations in the comments, and I absolutely encourage you to do that. Okay, I'm ready to get started. I have a stack of paper. So as I'm reading these questions to you guys, I'm gonna skip over the front bit that is in pretty much every single email that I get, and I am so thankful for it, and I enjoy it so much for myself, but it is usually, you know, addressed to me, and it's really kind compliments, and they're letting me know that they've been watching for a long time, and congratulations on the baby and all of that, and I love that so much, and thank you to everyone that wrote in that said so many kind things. I'm gonna skip over it though as I'm reading the emails. I feel like that's for me, and it's a little weird for me to read compliments to me, to you guys, so we're gonna skip over that and just get down to the questions. All right, so the first one, the subject line is dealing with a one-upper friend. So I am 33 weeks pregnant now, congratulations, and I did have a very early miscarriage/chemical pregnancy before this one that thankfully stuck. Only my husband and I know, because I felt rather ashamed of that experience. Anyway, now I have a friend who is around 16 weeks pregnant, and she has 2 kids already. My entire pregnancy, she's been telling me there was no way I was feeling the baby so early, and no way my husband could feel the baby at 19 weeks. She also said, I'm so sorry for you, when we announced we were having a girl. She went as far as doubting our ultrasound because there's just no way we'd have a girl first. Her first was a boy. My jaw's on the floor already. We could end the email right there and I'd already have my answer, but it goes on. This friend also had a miscarriage, although hers was at 8 weeks, so later than mine. Because of this, we really had not talked about my pregnancy with her because we didn't want to cause her pain. Ever since she announced she's also pregnant, it's been she that is feeling the baby earlier than me, and she's positive that she's now having a girl. Recently, she's been very vocal about how we're wrong for our birth plan and wrong for wanting to limit family for about 2 months when she's here, because that will stunt her immune system, even though that's what's recommended by our pediatrician. She also talks about how our house isn't suitable for a baby because we have a cat, and when they buy a house, it's going to be bigger than ours. And the one that bothers me most is she's constantly talking about how there's no way I can be a good mom and a working mom. Like, there's just no way I can hold down a full-time job while being a mom because I'll have to put baby on the back burner for my job. She'll say she's sorry if my husband doesn't have a good enough job like hers does so that I could be a stay-at-home mom like her. But we both love our jobs. It seems like every little thing we do, she has to do one better. How do you handle friends like this? Is it time to just step away from my mental sanity, or do I give her a reality check and tell her I don't want her opinion unless I ask for it? Okay, so obviously we're just starting out with a nightmare situation. First, I want to say congratulations. Of course, I'm so happy for you. This is a happy moment and I want you to be happy through this. But to get to your question, how do I deal with friends like this? I don't ever. A person like this that makes these insane jabs at every little move in your life during a happy, joyous moment that you've waited for is not a friend. This is like basically an enemy. This is someone that is actively hurting you, actively going out of their way to make you feel uncomfortable and bad about everything in your life. I don't know if she was raised wrong or if she just is miserable with her own life and she feels like she has to drag down others to her level. But either way, it's not your problem. You don't need this lady in your life. She can go on and have her happy family doing whatever she thinks is right. And I think you should go on your merry way and have your happy family, keep your career, take care of your baby in your happy house that is just fine for a baby, and just forget about her and forget about everything that she said to you because it's invalid. And I think you know that. And I don't know if you've stood up for yourself so far or you've tried to just kind of go with the flow and let it pass. But obviously these things keep happening. And I don't even know if it would really help for you to stand up against her at this point. She just seems like a really sick person that gets enjoyment from putting others down. And if it were me, I don't know if this is 100% the perfect thing to do, but I would just distance myself, skip out on making plans with her. I wouldn't reach out. You know, whenever she tries to make plans with me, I'm busy. I'm either busy taking care of my baby, getting ready for my baby, you know, working that job that she feels so sorry for me having, you know, preparing my wonderful house for my wonderful baby. You know, just be busy and be happy and don't have those conversations and give her the opportunity to be so cruel. You know, you wrote this email, you compiled these things, you know what she's saying is crazy. And I think you also know that she doesn't deserve a spot in your life. And definitely, once you have this baby, I feel like you're really not going to need her opinions on how you're being a mother. I know that I wouldn't. I feel like right now, like, you know, I'm like 12 weeks pregnant right now. I have about this much patience with people telling me what to do or what's the right way to go or whatever, unless it's like from a place of love, it's someone I know in the right situation. I love advice, of course. I'm always loving advice. But when it's like just craziness like this, I have no patience whatsoever already. And I feel like you're at the same point. And if I were you, she'd be out. Done. This is not a friend. All right, for our next question, the subject line is, am I settling? Long story short, my boyfriend went to rehab last year and my family doesn't know he went. They don't even know he had an addiction problem. So we've been together 5 years, we live together, but I don't know how much money he makes and he has never paid our rent on time. And I just feel like we can't get on the same page. He only sees my family on Christmas and we don't even live far away from them, but I see his family all the time. I feel like I want more from him, but I don't want to complain because he's the one that pays the rent and I do smaller bills. The other day, he told me all I do is nag him, but I swear I've been so patient and understanding with him because he's in recovery. I just feel like I spent all of 2020 trying to make him feel better and recover and just be there for him, but I've gotten nothing. I told him that I'm not going to marry him, not that he's asking, until he spends more time with my family and he agrees. He just hasn't done it. We both just turned 27 last week, and I feel like I'm trying to move up in life, buy a house, start my business, but I don't see him showing the same interest. I feel like I'm going in circles with no goals. Okay, so short answer, yes, you are settling, and if I were you, I would leave him. I know that sounds very harsh, but I want to just get right to the point. It sounds like you're staying with him because you put in time, 5 years. That is a long time since you were 22 and you're now 27 or about to be 27, and he pays the rent. Neither of those are valid reasons to stay with someone for years and years and years when you are not happy and you feel like you're spinning your wheels. You want to move forward in life. You want to do a lot of things. You've got goals and your goals are not aligning. You know, he's struggling, he's going through a lot, and I respect that. And I'm happy that he's in recovery and he's making things better for himself, but he's also slowing you down and you don't deserve that. You got together when you were 22. That is really, really young. A lot of people get together at that age, they get married, happy life, everything is perfect. I love those people. But many more people that get together at 22 grow a lot through their 20s and they grow apart and they have different things that they want out of life and they get a better handle on what they want to do and where they want to go later in their 20s, like where you are now, and they end up splitting up, and that is okay. You don't have to feel like you're tied to this person just because he's struggling. That probably sounds heartless to some of you guys, but I just want to see you get your goals and you know what you want, and it looks like he's holding you back. So I would leave. Okay, next email is a kind of fertility, pregnancy related question. I actually got a lot of fertility questions and I will link down below a fertility Q&A video I did a few weeks ago. I told my whole story and answered a ton of questions from you guys and a lot of questions that came in on this advice video. So if you sent me a fertility related question, definitely watch that video because there are a lot of answers there. This one is a different thing. That's why I'm including it here. But the subject line is pregnant again, how to tell fam struggling with fertility. And I actually got a couple that were similar to this. So hopefully it's helpful to all of you guys. Okay, our situation. My husband and I had our first baby almost exactly a year ago. My husband's cousin and his wife have been trying to get pregnant for the last couple of years and are now going through fertility treatments. I've always had a soft spot for them because of how that feels as a woman, having a hard time conceiving, and they're such wonderful people. I feel guilty seeing their struggle and pain when they talk about how long they've been trying. Anyway, long story short, my husband and I just found out that we're pregnant again. Yay! Congratulations. We want to do a fun surprise for my family during my daughter's first birthday, but my husband's cousin and his wife will be there and I don't want to make them upset in any way. Do I tell her first for a heads up so they aren't blindsided? Should we just skip the big announcement altogether, or am I just overthinking everything? Help. Okay, so first off, obviously, congratulations. I'm so happy for you. But also I have to say, you are a great person. I just want to say thank you almost like on her behalf because you are being so kind and so considerate of their struggle, even when you are having the happiest moment. You're getting to have baby number 2. You want to have this big, happy announcement for the family, but you're taking a pause and you're really thinking about them because you've seen their struggle and you've seen the hurt. I just think that's really awesome of you. I don't think you're overthinking it, but I do think you're on the right track thinking you should give her a little heads up. It's hard for me to say exactly what the right thing to do is because, of course, I don't know her, and people with fertility struggles have all kinds of reactions. I've heard from people that, they've heard about pregnancy announcements and burst into tears. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a wrong reaction. But she could also be a person that is just so super excited for you. And hearing your happy news isn't so much tied to her hurt, and it might not make that come up. There's just a huge spectrum, and I've heard all kinds of stories from people that have all kinds of different reactions to other people getting to have babies, or maybe like easily having babies when it is so hard for them. So I do definitely think it's the right move to try to give her a heads up. Another way that you could go is have your husband talk to his cousin. I hope I'm getting this right. His cousin is the husband. And so that maybe they could kind of talk it out, and he would definitely have a better gauge on what her reaction might be, what their reaction might be, and maybe he could tell the husband could tell the wife, kind of just soften that as much as you can. And I would say based off of that, choose which way you're going to go forward. I would say, have your big announcement. This is your happy moment, and you can't put your happiness on hold because other people are struggling. It is such a tough situation. It is so hard, but I think that you are doing what you can to manage the situation and be really conscious of her feelings. So I think you're doing the right thing. I think you're an awesome person. I think you should be so grateful to have a relative like you, and just big congratulations from me all around. Okay, moving on to the next email. The subject line is just advice for a couple about to move in together. I have been with my boyfriend for 1 year and we've been going back and forth staying at each other's apartments and we're both tired of it. We live in NYC and our leases end in 2 months. We started looking for an apartment and to our surprise, we found a really awesome one that is seemingly perfect. However, we have to move in at the beginning of the month, which is 2 weeks away. Random point, but we are asking our buildings to get out of our leases a month early. So you expedited the process. Previously, my boyfriend had expressed wanting to move in together and said how he looked forward to not have to do the back and forth thing. But once we moved forward, applying for the apartment and going through the process, he's now completely stressing out. He said he was hoping that we'd have more time to discuss important topics before this step and worries that we may be rushing into this because of how fast real estate moves in New York. Basically, good apartments never last long, so you have to decide if you want to take it quickly or you may lose it. I know that you and Grant did pre-marriage counseling, and I'm wondering if you could suggest how you two get through tough times where you may not be in harmony. Any advice for how to get through particularly stressful and not easily solvable situations? Really appreciate you weighing in here as a married lady and all. A married lady. That's maybe the first time I've been called that, but well, that is what I am. Okay, so to answer your question right off the top, how do we get through tough times? We talk. We talk a lot. I talk about things probably more than he'd even like to. You know, if there is a problem, if there's something I'm concerned about, I am talking about it right away. And I do think there is no harm in talking about stuff. I mean, you don't want to beat things to death, but you want to get stuff out there. You want to get your feelings out there, your concerns, because the other person in the relationship can't read your mind. And so you got to get it out there. Like you said, we did pre-marriage counseling, and I do think that was helpful with things that we were going through before marriage and getting ready to get married and move in together for the first time because we didn't live together before marriage. And we actually were long distance for the year before marriage. And I do think that that was really helpful. I would encourage anyone to do that before marriage. There's no reason not to. And we've actually done some counseling even after marriage during our first year of marriage. You know, the first year of marriage is hard. It doesn't all become rainbows and roses and glitter and unicorns the minute you get married. There's always stuff to work through, and counseling is always on the table for us. It's always something that we are considering. You know, we buy books and we talk about things. We try to research things. We've done little like workbooks together and stuff like that. Like our marriage, our relationship is like basically number one in importance in my life. I want to keep that healthy. I want to keep that good. And there's always going to be things that are not perfectly harmonious, you know, and you just have to work through it as you go, but always try to come together. You know what I mean? Okay, so now to address the moving in part. I know you didn't ask a specific question about that, but I want you to really, really look at it and realize that this isn't just like a moment of not agreeing. Like you really need to seriously listen to him, respect how he's feeling, and take a huge step back. And I know y'all were really excited about moving in together, but I don't think that should be happening right now. You found the perfect place, so it's really, really sad. And especially where you live, the prices are just outrageous. And so moving in with someone, having a roommate is an obvious choice, but he's worried. And I think that that should make you really take a huge pause and realize like y'all need to come together and get on the same page and know that you're in a really, really healthy spot before you move in together, before you take that next step. In the past, I've talked about my decision not to move in with Grant before marriage, and a lot of people have not taken that well at all. And I feel like it's because they take me saying that as being, you know, the right thing for me and something that I value as saying that it's not good for them and it's going to ruin their relationship, or they don't have a good relationship because they moved in together before marriage. And like, obviously I don't think that, but I think what maybe I haven't articulated in the past and I haven't been clear about is how much I feel independence is important and maintaining independence basically as long as possible. And, you know, when people were coming at me and being like, why would you stay in Houston when you have a flexible job and you could work from home? Why would you stay in Houston when he moved to LA and it would be good for you to live in LA and it would be fun? And, you know, he's just there for a year, whatever. Like, I'm like, I have a house in Houston. I have a life in Houston. My family's in Houston. I want to keep that. All of these things are very special for me. And I'm not going to like sell my house, leave my house, put all my stuff in storage and move to a 1-bedroom apartment in LA and we're not married. And it wasn't like a stipulation for us to get married, for us to move in together. It was just, I really value my independence. And I also really value the dating dynamic, the fact that I go home to my place and you go home to your place. And, maybe you stay together sometimes, but you also always have those separate places where you can go, you can be alone, you can have your own stuff. You're not having to deal with the stresses of life and real estate and bills and making decisions about who's gonna cut the yard and clean the toilet. It's not romantic. I was not overeager to jump into that with anyone. And I don't regret that decision for me. That again is a decision that I made for me. And I don't want to push that on anyone else, but I do want to be clear that you should value your independence above everything. He's having reservations, and I feel like you should also be having reservations in response, but also just because you don't want to move up and change your relationship drastically just because, oh, it's the perfect place, rent is expensive, we gotta act fast, I feel like he has a really good point here. And I hope I'm not making you mad, but that is how I feel. I hope that wasn't too much about me. Let's move on. For the next email, the subject line is help ×2, ? Okay, and this is a career-focused question. So I have 2 major situations going on that I could use your advice on. Number 1, I'm turning 29 this year and I have a license as an esthetician, but I'm feeling very unfulfilled. I went through a lot of career choice transitions as a teenager and didn't discover until just recently that I think what I really want is to get into healthcare. I would love to get an MD or a PhD, but I have no college background yet and I'm afraid it's too late, especially because I have my son. Do you have any thoughts on if I should start a degree or if there's another realm that I can get satisfaction from by being part of the healthcare system? Number 2, kind of linked to number 1 actually. My younger sister and future brother-in-law are the epitome of a power couple. He's a lawyer and she's working on her PhD in neuroscience. They're super nice and not stuck up or anything, but I can't stop feeling insecure at family gatherings. How can I get over my complex about being a less accomplished older sister? And then at the end, she signed off with her name and everything, of course, but she said, here's her newspaper advice column alias, vaguely envious in Virginia. I think that's really funny. I wish everyone would do that because I think those are so funny and it reminds me of Sleepless in Seattle, which I would love to watch right now. It would probably make me cry a lot. Okay, so for the first question, from my perspective, from my probably overly optimistic heart, I want you to follow your dreams. I want you to pursue the degrees, pursue the school, and pursue the career that you feel would be ultimately the most fulfilling and satisfying. And I want everything for you. And I don't ever want you to feel like it's too late. And I'm sure plenty of people have this same feeling and they discover what they want to do a little bit later than you're supposed to. And it's just insane that we're all supposed to know exactly what we want to do in our lives when we're 17, 18 years old. And then we commit 10 years to it, if you're pursuing a degree like medical and all of that. It takes a really long time and you have to know that you want to be in for that commitment so early in life, and it's just crazy. And I don't want you to feel like it's too late. But knowing that I'm probably being overly optimistic and I haven't been through the process of going to medical school and achieving those things, I went ahead and brought this up with Grant. And he said, considering the time commitment and financial commitment, with us not really knowing what your whole situation is, the best thing you could do to get into healthcare would be to become an RN, because that's something that you can do without the college degree and you can get to work earlier, and while you're working you can continue education and go down many different paths. He named like 100 different things that you can do as an RN, and you can move up, you can have different specializations, really cool stuff. You know, you could be a nurse practitioner, you can become like a flight nurse, somebody that's up like in a helicopter. I feel like that is so cool and adventurous and awesome. He named a lot of different things. And he also told me that there are a lot of options for RNs to get financial backing to do that continuing education that aren't just straight up loans. And as we were having that conversation, I thought, oh wow, you know, there are nurses that are able to do injections, like, and you could tie in your background as an esthetician and you could do, you know, Botox fillers, those kind of facial treatments. I mean, I don't know if that would be the fulfilling thing of your dreams, but I just thought it would be cool since you have that background already. So I think that is a great idea. I think that gives you a lot to work with, and it's something that you can get started on sooner rather than later. But at the same time, I don't want to stomp on your dreams. I respect your choice either way. And I do want to also say about the whole family dynamic and feeling like you're the less accomplished older sister. Like, personally, I don't have a competitive bone in my body. I've just always been the person that's like, I just want everyone to win. You know, like, I just don't have that piece. I don't want you to feel like that. I want you to feel like you are accomplished in your own way. And having letters behind your name is not a sign of success. You can have letters behind your name and be a complete failure. And I'm not saying that that at all applies to your family members that are so accomplished, but I don't want you to feel like you have to have that to feel like you're measuring up in any way. You know, you're a mom. You have accomplished your own career. You've changed your mind, which is totally okay and does not mean you are any less successful at what you already do. But I just want you to feel okay in yourself without the letters, because it kind of seems like that's what it's coming down to for you. I look up to those people. I respect those people. They are hard workers. And I respect you for having that dream, but I just don't want you to feel like you have to have that to feel like you fit in your family. And I hope nobody is making you feel like that. I know you said your sister is good people. She's not doing that, but I feel like I have to say it basically. This next question is focused on anxiety in a relationship. She says, my husband and I have been married for 1 year now, but we've been together for 10 years. High school sweethearts. We have a great time living life, but he has a lot of anxiety. I've done everything I can do to help, but he needs to see a counselor to get a different perspective, but he refuses. Says he doesn't want to tell a stranger his issues. I see a counselor on a bi-weekly basis, so I'm all for it. But how can I convince him that he needs to see someone without straight up saying, I can't handle your anxiety on top of my own? Mental health matters. Couldn't agree more. I just have to ask, why can't you say that? You know, you're just stating the facts. You are trying to handle you, but you're also doing everything you can to support him, but it doesn't seem like it's enough. And you want to do everything you can to be a good wife, supportive, be there for him, help him through hard times of anxiety, but you're not a therapist, and that's not going to change anytime soon. I would say you need to wait for a moment that is low anxiety, calm, comfortable, sit down and have a very serious talk and just say, I want to be the best, most loving, supportive wife to you. It is so important to me, and I've given this a lot of thought, and the way that I can be the best for you right now is to ask you to see a counselor. Another thing that you can do is bring it up with your own counselor. See what they have to say. See if they have some good insight on how you can encourage him and how you can tell them, this is how good it's been for me in managing my situation. Maybe it could help you too. And then also an idea that honestly I haven't tried myself, but I've heard a lot about it, is there's online services where you can connect with a counselor or therapist, some kind of mental health professional by text or by phone. Maybe he would be more comfortable in that setting. Maybe that's worth a try. I haven't tried it, so I can't 100% say that it will work or will be wonderful, but maybe that's just dipping his toe in just enough to where he'll see talking to a professional could really be helpful. Okay, y'all, I'm starting to get concerned, as I always do in these videos, that this video is gonna be an hour long. If you need to put the phone down or put whatever down and just listen to it like a podcast, I encourage you to do that. This next one is a long one. The subject line is just simply mother-in-law drama, and oh boy, is it exactly that. I'm hoping for advice on my deteriorating relationship with my mother-in-law. My husband and I have been married for 10 years this August, and my mother-in-law has never particularly warmed up to me. It all started with our wedding day when apparently she had a huge meltdown before the ceremony, and my husband had to have a come to Jesus talk with her. His words, I wasn't there. For about 7 years, we had what could be described as an okay relationship with lots of passive aggressive behavior and remarks from her. Example, her reorganizing our entire kitchen while we were still sleeping during one of her visits, and then telling me that she had finally got it properly organized for me. Lots of little comments about my job / earning or appearance, etc. Horrifying. It doesn't say that. That is just me saying I can't hold back. Things were always okay, but not good / great. Mostly because I would just let it go and not say anything. We don't live in the same state, so it just seemed easier to put up with her mean remarks and let her control our visits with her, since it's not like I saw her all the time, and the last thing I wanted to do is put my husband in the middle. As a result, my husband wasn't completely aware of all of his mom's passive-aggressive behavior and words, unless they were very obvious and made right in front of him. However, things have now changed because late 2018, we finally had our daughter. Mother-in-law understandably wants to visit and FaceTime more and spend time with our child, but it has dramatically increased our negative interactions pretty much daily on FaceTime, as well as every time she visits. It's just constant passive and not so passive aggressive remarks about me. Everything from our daughter's daily routine to the fact that I'm now just a stay-at-home mom to why I don't take our child more places even during a pandemic. And even small ridiculous things like, why does my husband have to change that diaper or cook dinner that night? Her visits cause more strain as well. Before, we just let her dictate everything we did, but now we have our daughter to consider. We, but mostly me, have to tell her no whenever she wants to do something because it won't work for our child. I'll personally invite her to visit as a nice gesture. She'll accept, and then a week later tell my hubby that she changed her mind, that when I invited her won't work, and not even bother to send me a text letting me know. And then another week later, she'll announce that she's planning a visit at a different time and tell us what days she'll be staying with us without even checking first. And this in the past has caused us to change plans multiple times. And when she's visiting, in addition to everything else, when she's with our toddler, she'll do the exact opposite of what we asked her to do and then just laugh and say, I'm grandma, it's my job. That's a lot. Lately, I've had to bring up mother-in-law's behavior with my hubby because it's happening so much more and it's so incredibly hurtful. He's already aware of some of it, but often doesn't see or want to see a large amount of it. I truly understand that he wants to see the best in her and not believe that she's doing such ugly things. He gets defensive and it often causes arguments between us. And I also understand that since she's single and he's her only perfect child, she's going to have opinions about his life and want to have him close. But I don't understand why she's so hostile towards me. I probably make more of an effort in regards to inviting her to visit, sending gifts and cards made by our toddler, and trying to include her in our lives than my husband, but it makes no difference. She tells my husband that a good relationship is a two-way street, and I'm not making any effort. And often, in my husband's words, plays the victim. What should I do? I don't want to put my husband in the middle anymore, and I want her to have a good relationship with our daughter, but I'm tired of being her punching bag. I don't want our daughter to grow up and think it's okay to treat people / be treated the way mother-in-law does with me. First, you are so strong, and from everything that you've said and, all the things you've put up with so far, it sounds like you are really, really sweet. Maybe to a fault. You've taken a lot of abuse. You've taken a lot of crap without sounding the alarm. And I feel like you maybe waited a little too long, but ultimately it's not your problem. I'm not putting the fault on you at all. But if it were me going through these things, I would have sounded the alarm to my husband, gone to him immediately and been like, I am not okay. This is not okay. We can't continue like this. This has got to stop. She has serious issues. I feel like any story that starts with, oh, there was some kind of big blow up and there had to be some big come to Jesus moment at the wedding is the huge red flag. And I feel like this is a sign of a parent that doesn't have good control on their emotions, and they are really used to being in control of everything, and that wedding is a huge symbol of loss of control, and they freak out at the wedding because they can see this is the last day. This is the moment where my son or daughter is moving on and I am going to be secondary to this new spouse. And I got to make today about me. And their way of maintaining control is creating problems. And it's so scary to me. And you are so right to be really concerned and so done with it. If I was in this situation, step one would be to create some distance. You know, you said that you've really gone out of your way to involve her, keep up these daily FaceTime calls, which seems like a lot. I don't know if she's making the calls or you're making the calls, but like, that's a lot. You know, get busier, you know, have something else going on and be like, oh, sorry, I couldn't make the call today, you know, talk to you tomorrow, whatever. And then also slow down on making the plans. It seems like she doesn't care when you make the plans anyway, and she just makes her own plans anyway. So just don't do it anymore. You know, you've made a massive effort to make her feel involved and special, and it's not really working. So you trying to win her over in these ways isn't working, and it's really just kind of working against you anyway. So slow that down, create some distance. Don't go out of your way in those ways anymore. And then next, when you do have those calls and you do have those visits, even though you've created the distance, she will still be in your life, and she makes passive aggressive or cruel remarks, address it right away, call it out for what it is, and I hope she will see how much she is embarrassing herself and putting this relationship in jeopardy. And just to give a rough example of what I mean about calling it out in the moment when she's being passive aggressive, like say she's saying something about you just being a stay-at-home mom, like, ew, gross, I hate her. You come back with something like, yes, I love getting to stay at home with my daughter, and your son and I feel so lucky that we can raise her like this. Do you really feel like we're making a mistake with me staying home? Whatever kind of thing she's saying without saying, whatever nasty thing she's got, call it out for exactly what it is. And either she will backtrack and try to deny that that's what she was saying, or she will just come out with the straight negativity, and there will be no denying what has happened, what she said, how she really feels about it, and she can't go forward and then play the victim. However, I will say, before you do any of these things, I would talk to your husband first and tell him what you plan to do. It's not like you're like going on the offense. It's just you're standing up for yourself. And I do think everyone should be in the loop. And so if she does do something like run to your husband and try to make up some story about how you're being mean or you're doing this or whatever, since, you know, she could freak out. Who knows what she's gonna do? She's not well. But you need to have your husband in the loop and prepared for whatever kind of meltdown she probably will have. So will this fix everything going forward? Probably not, but it will definitely help you feel like you're taking more control of the situation and standing up for yourself, and hopefully setting a better example for your daughter, and at least kind of trying to lead your family in the right direction away from all of this tension and negativity. And again, I'm not an expert, but I do think it would be worthwhile for you to look into the topic of emotionally immature parents. I know there are books, there are probably videos on YouTube, but they would definitely have more guidance. So I would definitely look into that. Okay, after that one, I feel like we need a more light and fluffy one. The subject line of this one is just wedding help. My fiance and I are planning our wedding for this coming September as long as COVID allows. We're very focused on making sure all of our guests and vendors are safe, so fingers crossed we won't have to postpone. We've been able to get a lot of planning done and are in pretty good shape so far. Lately, I've been putting more thought into the makeup look that I want for my big day. I've always loved doing my makeup, so I didn't really want to hire a makeup artist. I'm also kind of nervous that I would hate the way it turned out and would have to redo it myself anyway. My question is, did you hire a makeup artist for your wedding, or did you do it yourself? Do you have any product recommendations for long wear and possibly mask proof? I also have horrible dark under eye circles that are impossible to cover, so any recommendations for high coverage non-cakey concealer would be much appreciated. So I love this question. Congratulations. I really hope for your sake and the whole world's sake that by the time September gets here, it will be safe. I have no idea I'm not an expert on that. I would come and celebrate if I was invited. So I totally get this question. Just like you, I was torn about having a makeup artist for my wedding because I love doing my makeup too. But at the same time, I really wanted to take as much stress out of the equation for my wedding day. But I was worried, this person doesn't do my makeup every day. I do my makeup every day. I have oily skin. I had my wedding in Houston, Texas in July. So that's the most heat and humidity possible. Everything is working against me basically. So what I did to make this decision was I booked a makeup trial day with the same company that I had booked for makeup and hair for the bridal party and our moms. And I booked it on the same day that I was doing my bridal shoot. So I had some level of confidence in them. She did my makeup. It looked great in my bridal portraits. But ultimately, after I saw how the makeup looked on me and how it wore on me on a really hot day, shooting photos in my dress and all of that, I just decided it wasn't for me. I was just gonna go ahead and do my own makeup. And if you want all of my product recommendations, there's actually a full video on my wedding makeup. I still stand by all of the products, probably some of the brow products and stuff like that I've changed, and I had lash extensions at the time. But as far as the complexion products, I absolutely stand by them. My makeup held up really, really well despite everything. So I definitely recommend that video. I will put the link in the description. I'll put it in the card up here if you want to click that. Hopefully it's helpful for you, and congratulations. I still have a bunch of questions that I have notes on and even more in my email inbox. It makes me crazy not to get to finish all of them, but I feel like we're running out of time. This video is so long. So I'm just gonna do one more email, and it's kind of a two-parter. Okay, so it's kind of marriage, but it's also kind of career. My question is, was the decision of marrying Grant a difficult one? I need advice on picking the one. How did you approach this big decision in your life? No one is perfect, I get that. Did you have any concerns about Grant before deciding to spend the rest of your life with him? If so, how did you approach these concerns? Sometimes I wonder if my partner is social/outgoing enough, if he's generous enough. Did you ever feel conflicted, or did you just know? Okay, so I'm just gonna answer the first part separately and then move on to the second part since it goes kind of a different direction. I wanted to marry Grant, and I had never wanted to marry anyone else before. So in that way, it was kind of a I just knew kind of situation, but it's so hard not to roll your eyes when people are just like, I just knew. But there was some element of that. But then there's also real life, and both of us have real flaws, and there were definitely real hurdles and problems and issues that we had to work through our dating life, during when we were engaged, and then also when we were married. No one is perfect, but ultimately we always both made the decision that we wanted to be together and we wanted to move forward. And I do think the best thing that you can do is always bring those things up. Don't hide them. Don't pretend like things are perfect when they're not, because that is just a one-way ticket to resentment and problems later down the line that just get bigger and bigger. They don't dissolve if you don't talk about them. And I don't know if that's what you're doing, but that is my best advice basically. And like I said earlier in the video, we've done counseling, we've done premarital counseling, we did counseling while we were married, and I'm a big believer in that. And if that's something that can help get you talking, I would absolutely say go for that. There are options of how you can do it online. When we were long distance doing premarital counseling, we did it online on Skype. I don't know if that's better or worse than doing it in person, but if that makes it easier for you, especially during the pandemic, I would absolutely suggest doing that before marriage, so you can feel really secure and you can feel really good at taking that next step. Ultimately, I do feel like it's normal, if not really smart, for you to be questioning this decision. Just because you have questions and just because you're looking more deeply into things does not mean you're making the wrong decision. It just means you're taking it really, really seriously. And I do feel like marrying someone is basically one of the most serious decisions you can make in your life. And it comes with very serious consequences, whether it works out or it doesn't. And at the end of the day, you're the only one that can know whether you're doing the right thing. Okay, moving on to part 2. My other question is, my partner is a resident physician. He will be making a lot all caps, a lot more money than me, and his job is seen by society as very prestigious compared to mine. Do you ever find this to be a problem in your relationship? How do you deal with this? I'm worried that I will feel inferior and not good enough compared to him. Okay, so for this question, honestly, I've just never felt competitive with Grant in any way, with how much money we make or how others perceive our jobs. You know, of course, his job automatically gets respected and gets put way up here. And meanwhile, you know, 95% of the time, if somebody is asking about my job and they don't really know much about it, they're like, so do you make money doing that? Which like is maybe the lowest amount of respect you could possibly give someone when you're talking to them about their job. But that is honestly the question I get at least 9 times out of 10. And that's been a long-standing thing, you know, way before Grant. And honestly, it doesn't bother me. It's kind of funny to me because I am so excited about what I've done for myself and getting to do this with you guys. It is so cool to me that I have kept this going for 10 years, you know, starting it, not knowing what it was going to become. It's just, I'm proud of what I do. And I'm also so proud of what Grant does. And I respect him so much for what he does, not because of the amount of money he makes, but because he's worked so hard to get there and he continues to work so hard. Like, I'm recording this on the weekend right now, and he's been at work since the crack of dawn, and he was on the phone with people all night long, and he has shown so much commitment. It's just so cool to me to watch. And you know, he respects what I do and he sees how hard I work at what I do. And yes, what I do is so far from life or death. It's not at all comparable with what he does, but he respects what I do. And ultimately, as long as your spouse is respectful of you, and this whole like comparing money kind of situation, it just shouldn't be part of the equation. Is it the people around you? I'm not sure. If it is not an outside source that is making you feel like what you are doing is inferior in some way, then I feel like it just comes down to a mindset shift for you. His steps up are your steps up. And your accomplishments are his accomplishments. And you should see that you are on the same team and you are doing great things together. And you're not competing teams trying to see who's better than the other one or who gets more respect than the other one. That's just not a way to be in love. You know what I mean? All right, so I think that's it for me. This video is probably 100 years long. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much to everyone that sent in emails. I will definitely do more videos like this in the future. This is my version of a podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, I encourage you, get in the comments, share your perspective. I love reading the conversations that you guys have, and I feel like it's so helpful for all of us to learn different perspectives. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel to keep up with all my new videos and vlogs every week. Hit the bell for notifications. You can also find me on social media. It's LeighAnnSays everywhere. I love talking to you guys over there. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone. I made a lot more money than him. My light just went out. Me and all my money. I've gotten to the point of the video where I cannot speak English. Why do I say so many words? Too many words. People outside are cackling right now. Stop cackling.